Welcome back. This is White Mountains Today from North Conway. I'm Chris Prue in the outside studios, joined by Paul McCoy, who is part owner of International Mountain Climbing School. I understand you own 49% of it?
I do, correct.
And the other 51 is?
My wife, Lisa.
So a majority female-owned company.
Correct, yeah.
So we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but right now, if you're ever driving down the main roads in the White Mountains and you see these great, cliffs of ice on the side of the road, you look up and you see these little specks ascending them. Those are obviously ice climbers. And if you've ever wondered how you can get into the sport, we brought Paul on to help us out. Before we get into International Mountain Climbing School and how you can get others involved, tell me about your background. How did you fall in love with ice climbing?
Yeah, well, it really started with just rock climbing in general before ice climbing. Used to go on all these great fishing trips with my dad, and I think he needed a break from me, maybe, because I was 12 or 13, and so he hired a guide for me for half a day when we were in Jackson Hole, and so I got some top roping in, and I was hooked ever since.
Yep, very good. And then so did you start with rock climbing and then transition to ice climbing?
I did. I started with rock climbing probably around 1994, something like, it's a little fuzzy. And then when I went to college in 98, I really got into ice climbing. I met like a friend in college in the library. It was like the old-fashioned way, right? And we went out.
And what do you love about the White Mountains as an ice climbing destination? Does this area offer some of the better ice climbing opportunities in the Northeast?
For sure. This area is really like a mecca for ice climbing, and not just like along the road, but we have all sorts. If you want to go climb in the Alpine on Mount Washington, there's big routes there. We've got, incredible climbs in Franconia Notch that are on Cannon Cliff, and then we have climbs you could just walk down a road basically and climb, within a mile or less. Okay. Very, very accessible.
I want you to dispel a myth, or maybe the myth is accurate. I feel intimidated trying to get into ice climbing because I feel like I have to, be a Marine, first of all, with extreme fitness and technical skill, and I also have to know everything in advance. I need to know knots to tie. I need to know how to do it. So, is that accurate?
I don't know that you need to be a Marine.
Okay.
I think that might be a little overkill.
Okay.
And I think most anyone can do it if you have reasonable fitness. And there's some great locations close to the road, right here at Cathedral Ledge.
Yep.
And we're not talking about climbing the whole cliff, right? I'm just talking some shorter stuff at the end.
With alpine skiing, for example, it seems like you can get into it, you can take a lesson and then ride the bunny hill, ski the bunny hill for a while. Is ice climbing analogous? Can anybody who wants to get into the sport, how do you start out?
Exactly. Well, a great way to start out is by hiring a guide. And so if you hire IMCS, we have about 10 guides plus on our roster that are all fantastic, who can take you to various areas. And with your day, it includes all the technical gear. So the boots, the crampons, the ice axe. There's not any extra fees for that. And then we're just there to mitigate the risk and keep you safe throughout the day.
Right.
And we have, for the first time in a long time, we're offering group 101 days throughout the winter. And we have some of these that you can book right up through March. And so we'll keep the group small, a max 8 people with 2 guides. So the ratio's nice.
Yep.
Good way to get to know other people who might be into climbing as well.
Is there an age limit? Do you think, if there's a family that's interested in trying this, do you recommend like a certain age and up?
Yeah, this is a question I battle with all the time, is like, how young is too young to go ice climbing? And I would say that really depends on the individual.
Yep.
I think on our website we might say 14 or 13 and above, but we're not against taking younger folks out. We just really want to talk to the parents and the kid first to make sure it's right.
So beginners can obviously reach out to IMCS and you can set up a program for them. Advanced climbers, I'm imagining that if I climb a lot out west, I'm coming east, yes, I could probably, Google or go on some forums and find some of the good routes, but I imagine hiring a local guide is going to make your day that much more enjoyable.
Totally. Well, we have a good handle on conditions. So, unlike rock climbing is like, oh, it doesn't melt, right? So we can go climb that when it's in all the time, as long as it's dry. But ice climbing, things change almost week to week, which is part of what makes the sport really cool. So we know what's in, where to go. Somebody might come with a route idea, and we're like, well, that second part might be a little hairy. Let's do this. It's comparable. It's just as good.
Yep. And I had the privilege years ago of filming a climb with George Hurley, who was a renowned local guide. He was in his 60s at the time. He was guiding someone who was a Marine.
Yeah.
And one of the most fascinating things was watching how he did it, because he didn't obviously have the strength and the stamina of this much younger, Marine, but his technique was just so eloquent and beautiful. And he made the Marine's trip so much more enjoyable by guiding him to the right locations and using his local knowledge to really maximize this guy's experience.
Yeah. I've been privileged to climb with George Hurley once years ago. I think he was 83. We were rock climbing.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't ice climb anymore, I don't think. But he's still going out rock climbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. We're going to talk about local conditions in a bit, but coming up in February is a big event that celebrates kind of everything, the community of ice climbing, the activity of it itself. Tell us a little bit about the Ice Fest.
Yeah, so the Ice Fest takes place. It's easy to remember each year. It takes place the first weekend of February every year. So I believe this year it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And we run ice climbing clinics for all abilities. So if you want to take a beginner course, you can do that. If you want to take a mixed climbing course, if you don't know what mixed climbing is, Google it. We don't have time to talk about that here, but it's pretty awesome. There's that. We do hikes on Mount Washington, basic mountaineering. So if you're getting into hiking in the White Mountains, we can teach you how to use crampons and ice axe for that as well. And then in the evenings, we have presentations. So on Friday night, Ian Wellstead is coming out here from Calgary, Canada, and he's won climbing awards, and he's climbed all over the world. Wow. And so he's giving a presentation about the friends he's met along the way and some of the amazing climbs he's done there. And then Saturday night, we have Jesse Huey coming with one of his climbing partners, and they're talking about their ascent of the Cowboy Direct on the Great Trango Tower. Okay. They were on the wall for 12 days in Pakistan, and so it should be incredible. So. And then we raise money for organizations. So on what night? Friday night, I believe. We are raising money for Mountain Rescue Service, and we're premiering, Arc'teryx is our sponsor, and we're premiering 109 Degrees Below. And it is a film about a rescue in the local area that happened in, I believe, 1982. Wow. And if you're from here, you'll definitely recognize the names involved in this event.
Yeah. So sounds like a great, it sounds like a bunch of things, but it sounds like a great way to get into the activity if you kind of want to check it out and get some beginner clinics, get to know people, get to know the whole ice climbing community and culture around here. And then also, if you have a strong passion for ice climbing, it's going to be fueled even more by some of these speakers and presentations. Absolutely. And if you like beer, we have it at Ledge Brewing, and they're fantastic. Come for the beer, stay for the ice climbing. Exactly. And speaking of ice climbing, we got off to kind of a weird start here in the White Mountains with, I think, some decent early conditions, and then, of course, we had this catastrophic rain event. But looks like we're back in action now. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been ice climbing and mountain biking in the same week, but before. But yeah, they're a little weird. It was good, and then it wasn't, and now we're back. I was out 2 days ago,
and with a friend climbing, and it's here. And we are weather geeks, and we're just tracking the Mount Washington Observatory's forecasts and all the other forecasts, and the long range trend's looking pretty good. I think the ice, especially with this recent snow and cold coming in, I think we're good.
All right, Paul McCoy, International Mountain Climbing School. If people want information on either the Ice Fest or getting involved in climbing through a guided service like yourself, where do they go?
Yeah, so you can go to our website at www.climbimcs.com, and then we also have a website that you can get through there as well for our Ice Fest. So Saturday's filling up at Ice Fest. We still have plenty of availability, I believe, on Friday and Sunday.
All right,
So.
you can follow them on socials as well. And before we let you go, Paul McCoy gets one last day to go ice climbing. Which route does he do?
Oh my God, one that.
Yeah, you have to pick
I have to
one.
pick one?
What's your favorite ice climbing route?
Oh my gosh,
You'll never be able to climb anything ever again.
never. I might have to go do Dracula.
Okay, where's that? Is that
It's in Frankenstein Cliffs.
Okay.
Yeah, quick hit, be home in front of the fire after. It's great.
And that is one of the beautiful cliffs that you see as you're driving through Crawford Notch on Route 302, just about, I think, as you enter the state park area.
Yeah, right now, after you go through the road washout, it's
yes.
right there on the left.
Good landmark, right?
Yeah, totally.
All right. Paul McCoy, IMCS International Mountain Climbing School, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Go ice climbing. You're watching Outside.